And rounding out the top 10, MSAR, Old Hat Motorsport, with keeping at the wheel on that one. Well, we saw a fantastic stint earlier on for the Team ASR course. Started by Alex Sedgwick, then we saw a great run up to second place with Callum Cripps. We saw that up in qualifying, and here's Alex now having a chat to Callum down in the pit lane.
The ASR, Callum Cripps, you definitely said on the YouTube channel a bit earlier on that you were going to go quick, and you put it up to second. Now the weather's coming down a bit more. Do you think this is going to play into your hands a little bit here at Silverstone?
Yeah, because we've just put Scott in the car, so Scott Jeffs, he's used to Mini Challenge, and now he's racing Euro NASCAR this year, and he's mega in the wet. And when we put him out at Spa in the wet, he was like 14 seconds quicker per lap at some point. So, to be fair, it looks really wet here, but actually on track, it's quite dry, to be fair. So you've got 100 cars going around. As long as you keep heating the tyres, then the car's quite quick. And even though you see a bit of rain on the windscreen, if you just keep the temps up, it's not too bad.
No, so you were definitely putting the cat amongst the proverbial pigeons, as you said, alluded to earlier. I mean, obviously we saw that last May when you were up in the commentary box with myself talking quite a bit about, you know, the C1s. But to be part of such a milestone event with Citroen celebrating its centenary as of last month, but for 99 cars, all Citroen C1s, everyone's having a fair crack at the whip, wouldn't you say? With a few, I've seen that, what was it, Andrew Godfrey was speaking to earlier from Mini Challenge. Yeah. The 468's just blown the conrod down at the bottom of the engine, but it just goes to show that, you know, you guys are not holding back when it comes to firing these round Cops, Maggots, Beckett's, you know, the Hanger and the Wellington Straight. You're going hammer and tongs, aren't you? Yeah, absolutely. I mean, from the exit of Brooklands all the way to Mags and Beckett's, you're completely flat out. So flat through Cops, flat through the first part of Maggots. And then
can we try and get a sight if it comes towards us of just the car that's stopped if you get a side-on shot? I know it's difficult front on, but if we can get a side on when it's possible, that'd be great.
Yeah, it's hard on the car really. It's a tiny little car, 998cc, so not really designed for these sort of things, as we spoke about at Rockingham. But yeah, for have 99 cars, you know, in a race all together, and I mean our car's done about 5,000 miles of racing laps now, and we haven't really needed to do anything. It hasn't had an engine rebuild or anything like that. And it's one of the quickest still down the straights, and we just keep it as light as possible. I'm like 5 kilos over the limit and just sail on through.
And in terms of, obviously, the tanks have got a 35 litre capacity. So obviously we can throw consumption figures for the pressure in the dealers by the wind, but how long are you in the car before you see the amber light come on and go, right, I need to pit now? How long would you say in terms of time duration, approximately, or sort of like lap count?
Well, I did 33 laps on my last stint just then, and I came in early because of a safety car, so I could have maybe done 35, which is around 120 miles or so. It's not amazing, because obviously, like, the first hour my fuel gauge didn't move at all, and then in the next 30 minutes it dropped all the way down to 2 bars, and then when it starts flashing the last one, you've got about 5 litres left and you've got to really come in. So we're not doing 2 hours as we expected. We're doing about 1 hour 45, 1 hour 50, but still quite impressive for a 35 litre tank.
And also for a car that has 998cc, 68 brake horsepower. Now, the question is obviously Rockingham. We talked about the fact that you guys were not using high gear. You're not using fifth. I take it you're using it around here at Silverstone, though.
No, still no. And that was when at Rockingham we had the newer gearbox in, which got a higher ratio, so we're only using second and third. Yeah. Here now we're using, here we're using mainly third and fourth, and then second for the slow stuff. So second at Brooklands, up at the Vale near the wing, and yeah, that's about it. So, but yeah, it's nice. It's nice to use actually 3 gears instead of 2 compared to Rockingham. But yeah, nowhere near fifth.
Okay, Callum, thanks for talking to us. All the very best of luck. Callum Cripps from ASR Racing with Scott currently in the vehicle. All the very best of luck.
Cheers.
Back to you guys in the commentary box.
Thanks, Alex. Great to hear from Callum Cripps on the challenges of it at Silverstone. As we said, of course, before, we've just seen the under safety car conditions. It was a great shot you saw on the in the inset photo in the bottom right there of the car sort of going crawling slowly past. If you see it right now, crawling past it, that looks like a traffic jam on the motorway at night, doesn't it? In terms of all the cars, and you have several cars piling into the pit lane as well, taking advantage of the safety car. Because I mean, why wouldn't you? Of course, if you're going to take a safety car, go in there, maybe take advantage of possibly losing minimal time, possibly doing a tyre change, topping up with fuel, bit of a tweak of the tyre pressure or whatever it might be. They want you to try and do to that car, and then move it up through the order and try and lose enough time. Because obviously, as anyone knows in motorsport, you lose a heck of a lot less time under a safety car because everyone else is crawling past the pit lane, as we can see, compared to if you're coming in at racing speeds. Because even yes, it's a 3-minute lap, the pit stops are going to be longer than 3 minutes anyway. So effectively, so if you can save yourself some time and actually pit now, as many people do in the motorsport, in motorsport across the world, it's an interesting point to try and take advantage of. So these guys definitely doing the most they can. Just looking at the car that stopped, it looked as though the car was red. We were trying to work it out. We don't want to presume too much, although it was a red car. Now I know the distinctive red car in terms of the cars that were stopped. I mean, again, if you've got TSL timing, be sure to use it. One car we think it potentially could be is car 386, which is young and dumb, which is the Petter's car and number 386 that stopped. That's currently classified 78th at the moment, but that car's been shown stopped on track. The other car stopped on track is the 337 Burton Power Racing with Valentine at the wheel of that car, and that's currently sat in 66th. Full credit to our camera guys for trying to get the shot as best they can. Also showing, apparently been told, Mark Waller 452 has been shown stopped on the circuit. 452.
Also, Scott, that 337 Burton car just recently received a black and orange mechanical warning flag as well, so that could be a legacy of that. If there was a problem with the car and it's now had a problem which has caused it to stop on track, that could potentially be another one.
The 452 car, which has been talked about that Mark Walder's mentioned, is the SCC performance car of Robert Ullman, Alex Osborne, Gary Hayward, Richard Dawson and Joe Dawson, and that car is a little way down the order. We're just trying to play the game of which car has an arrow next to it on the timing screen. Obviously, Atomic Races has stopped anyway, but that's been out of the race. Here's the traffic jam in the pit lane. We've got the 399, the 452. There's the 452. That's the car which we saw stopped on track, but that car... Now, what's interesting also here is that I think normally sometimes on the yellow flags, you don't let the cars out straight away. So, obviously, they have to stick their arm out to kind of register the transponder and get it back out there again. But there's a 342 is in there, the 308, the 399, which is the car that had the accident the first. They've managed to retrieve somehow a rear boot lid from somewhere and get the car back out again. So the 308's having a regular fuel top-up. The 308, just to remind ourselves of that one, is Emax Motorsport. That's the Glenn Finn, Wayne Belcher, Max Finn, Greg Owens and Daniel Perry car. And rest of the field touring its way around under the safety car. And remember, there's no sort of regaining a lap back under the safety car. It's all a case of literally you line up in the order which you're in under the safety car and you restart in that order. So, by the looks of things. So, it looks to me as if possibly, I did notice that the safety car didn't have its lights on the top, I don't think. So, potentially, are we going to see a restart here under the safety car? The car's just making their way down here. This is the shot looking down the Wellington Straight into Brooklands. 308. The other car's in the pit lane is 342.
That's Daniel Perry getting into the 308 car. Daniel Perry, a Track Attack Race Club racer in the 206 GTI Cup, and also another iRacer as well. He's another one who went from racing. He actually races a Fury Sim Sport with me on iRacing. So we were talking about earlier sim racing. He's another one who's gone from iRacing into real racing. This is his. He did a 24-hour at Spa as well for Amiga Motorsport. This is his second go at the 24-hour race in the C1s.
Green flag, and the C1 24 Hours is back underway at racing speeds. The cars head their way down into Copse Corner again. This is the second restart, but third stint. Into the pit lane comes our, is that the Citroen C3? Is that the Aircross? I think it is Citroen C3 Aircross safety car. More cars heading into the pit lane, at least another 5 heading in for scheduled stops. As they turn their way up through Woodcote onto the pit straight. We are now past the 4-hour mark here at Silverstone. And still James McIntyre leads the way. Now through the pit stops, up at his second place has now come Tim Hartland in the Circuit Pro car, number 385. I'm sure that's the same Tim Hartland, I'm sure it is. It's the same one that is the reigning 16-valve class champion in the Mark IIs in the Production GTI Championship, because it certainly seems to match up with that. Of course, he's sharing that car, as we said, with Simon Harrison and Patrick Watts in that mix. Then we've got the third place car, ITC. The leader stood, by the way, still Team Celavi, James McIntyre. But in third place there was ITC1, which is the All Caterham squad in car number 325. That's in the pit lane. That's the 447 car that's gone into the pit lane.
That's Kermit.
He's indeed Kermit. Whereabouts are they on the times? They're outside the top 25 by the looks of things. 447. They're in 47th place. Now then, they're going to come down the pit lane. Let's see if they change drivers here. Let's keep on tabs on that for a second, because it was was the fourth.
Mark Revell into the car now. So our commentary colleague Mark is getting into the car for his first stint, I think.
Yeah, he's just obviously held up the wristband to the transponder receiver, and now he's going to head out on track for his first FA. And I can't say he's going to be infused by the fact he's going out in the middle of the night, in pitch darkness at 20 to 10, in very adverse conditions, just after a safety car. But he might have some clear track, that might be a bit of a saving grace. But he was saying in qualifying that he didn't really get too much clear road, because he went to go and do he finished his 3 sort of flying laps, and then there was a bit of a red flag or a problem because the car went off, went back out again, and then had some problems getting stuck behind another car, or towards the end of the session. So just noticing on the timing, we've got the 2 Emax Motorsport cars together in 37th and 38th positions at the moment on track. They're only separated by about 19 seconds or so. There's 2 cars went very close into Brooklands come over there. They've almost made contact, I think, going into the left-hander. There's one car heading up the inside, and the other car on the outside line was kind of reducing the gap to take the sweep in to take the racing line at quite a close margin. So that's interesting. Just to point out as well, for some people in the comments on YouTube are doing rather aptly, and we thank you for that, is that anyone who does have to be towed back to the pits, it's not without penalty, because they do get a 3-lap penalty for basically outside assistance being towed back to the pit lane, because obviously in some cases that was 3 abreast into Brooklands corner. I noticed that one car goes shooting up the middle of two of them, making a move. So this is the great thing. That this might look like the M25 at the dead of night at rush hour, but it's a fantastic sight to watch. All these cars pull their way through. It's a little less busy here at the complex, down at the new sort of arena section, but the sprint down towards Brooklands is a lot more populated, shall we say, in terms of the field. But again, this is the point. We have to try and take advantage of this as best as possible, because we've got safety car again.
Safety car again.
And
yes.
It's a classic saying, but safety cars breed safety cars. But what's happened this time? This is now the 3rd safety car we've had. It's car 425 goes to the end of the pit lane and should go out very shortly. 425, for the record, is escargot racing. And anyone who's boned up on their French will know that escargot means snail, so snail racing. James Wright, George Wright, Bruce Chapman, and Louis Frankel. And that car's just headed out after a pit stop. But safety car deployed again here at Silverstone after 4.25 hours in this 24-hour race, and the Citroen C3 Aircross being called into action once again. And so, see our colleague Alex just pop back up to the commentary box. I'm presuming that the weather conditions aren't not any better.
No, there is rain continuing to fall in the pits. The wind has picked up on my walk back here, Scott.
He's saying the winds continue to pick back up, and there is still rain falling outside, so it's not the greatest at the moment as we go through. So we've still got a little while until we come to the end of the of the evening's coverage, shall we say? At least for us. So a little bit later on. So it's coming up to 9:45, as we've now got. Of course, it's a couple of hours until we get to the witching hour of midnight. But now we see the cars all lining up behind the safety car. Safety car just crept out of shot on the left-hand side as they head into Vale and then a double apex club. Just under the safety car, we will give you the order.
2 stop-and-go penalties there, Scott, as well. The 396 has got a 3-minute stop-and-go, and the 395 has got a 4-minute stop-and-go. So those 2 cars, 395 and 396, are feeling the wrath of the stewards at the moment. They've obviously done something which the race control are not happy with, and they are being punished with stop-go penalties.
Now that's 395 is exit 13. That's the Alan Evans, Matthew Plum, Paul Lorry, Andrew Marrow, Dean Hale and Alistair Dendy car, and that car has had, that's the one with the 4-minute penalty. The 396 is the car that started second to last, and that was the Riverside performance car of MX5 Supercut racers John Stack and Aldo Riti, sharing that car with Alan and Rory Brown. So they've had a 3-minute penalty. What they're for, we don't quite know, obviously, because you only get the information of the fact they've been given the penalties. What the reason is, we're not 100% unless we get informed a little bit later on. But even in this eliminated pit, you can see even some of the teams have to use as much light as possible to kind of signal to some of their drivers out there. I think there was a situation, I think it was, I'm sure it was for one of the 2CV races at Anglesey, where you had a driver who because the pit wall wasn't that illuminated, they had to keep on trying to call him in to serve a penalty. And because they couldn't get him in, he kept on going round and round and round and round. And literally, they must have been frantically waving and shouting him down the pit wall. Because it was so dark and he couldn't see until much further on, several times he'd gone around. Because he couldn't see, he ended up getting more penalties as a result of what it seemed as though was ignoring the penalty he'd been given. So it's going to be intriguing to see what exactly the reason for the penalty is when we get to it a little bit later on. So we've gone past 4.25 hours here at Silverstone. Odd Bob is asking where's the Flying Haggis. Flying Haggis, just for the record, is number... Let's get the number up here so I've got it in front of me for a second. Flying Haggis. Of course, it's set now. I know a couple of people asking why they're the safety car. That is a very good question. The answer is, at the moment, unless we get a visual on what's caused the safety car, we have to admit that we're just as informed as anyone else is at the moment, in terms of we're just using the view we've got from the cameras here around the circuit, who hasn't quite picked up yet who or what's caused the safety car. But once we've got that information, either when it gets relayed to us or comes through from either someone watching around the circuit or from anyone in our ears, we've been told Mark Wallace informing a car stopped on track. So obviously we need to find out exactly who it is that stopped out on track. We are...
Flying Haggis that we were asked earlier, I've currently got them as 75th place, and Dave Christie currently behind the wheel of that one. Dave Christie, commentator at Knock Hill, I believe, as well.
Yeah, and I think that's one of his... I think that might be possibly his second ever race, because his first race was in the C1s at Knock Hill at their first round. So it's not bad for a second race, is it? Doing a 24-hour race on the Grand Prix circuit in pitch black at the moment. With the rain beating down, so that's something to watch out for. Here comes the safety car, as you can see, leading the field past Woodcote. James Maddy from Facebook asks, how are the SCC guys doing? SCC being SCC Performance Car 452. Car 452 SCC Performance, that's Robert Oldman, with Alex Osborne, Gary Hayward, Richard Dawson and Joe Dawson. And also being told, actually, thanks for Mark Waller to give us the information for what he can see on TSL time, and that apparently we can't for some reason, so thank you, Mark. He's saying car 364 has stopped on track. So car 364 is Atomic Racing, so they really haven't had a great race, have they, Atomic Racing? You see, there's another way to illuminate your pit board to try and get a driver in. Can't quite tell exactly which driver that is, but or which number it's for. I can see it's got some kind of numbers on the top there, some like big sort of 3D numbers on the top of that pit board. I'm trying to just keep trying to look at, see exactly which one it might be. It might be, is that 341 maybe? It might be 341 actually. Is it 341? Let's have a quick look. Yes, that might be Majestic Motorsport actually. So that could be, yeah, 341. I was reading that backwards. God, that was good.
The wind as well, Scott. That's really picked up in the last 10-15 minutes, as Alex is saying. We can hear on the background of the feed that wind is feeling a bit vicious at the moment. Yeah, we were talking about the fact that the wind was going to be a factor, because of course these are very light cars. You strip them all out of all the unnecessary stuff. Because it's such a light car, obviously there was talks of in qualifying. I think Mark Rell was talking to us about this before the race, and he was saying that people were braking at the end of the straight, and because it's so light and the back end goes light, of course, when you hit the brakes, the car was just moving around in the direction that the wind was going. So that's how severe the effect of the weather is, of the wind is, in order to cause that problem. Looking down the order, we might as well go back to the top and go through the order of who is where at the moment. So after 4 hours and 20 minutes, pretty much concluded here at Silverstone, the order is as such. Still in the lead, our Team Celavi, with James McIntyre leading the way at the moment from second place Men's Circuit Pro, which is the trio of Tim Hartland, joined by Simon Harrison, and also Patrick Watts as well. In third place, James Wrigglesworth. You can see the 370 getting a fuel stop. In third place, Cracker Motorsport, with James Wrigglesworth at the wheel of that car number 411. Fourth place for car number 376, which has at the moment Darren Beckley at the wheel. Fifth place now is MSAR Old Hat Motorsport,
car number 321, and that currently has still at the wheel of it James Keepin in 6th position, Tollbar Racing with Rob Austin, so he's brought that car up in the 333 up to 6th position. 7th place for earlier leaders, which was car 419, which was for Team Viking, which currently has at the wheel the other Grindrod, which is Richard Grindrod. 8th place now for the team that's currently in the pit lane at the moment, which is Alice Hughes, who's just brought the number 480 Team Merlin International car, which is the all-female squad in that one, up to 8th position. That's a great effort from them going to go through the order. 9th place for also former leaders, 318. That's the Eastgate Automotive Racing Team with David Drinkwater at the wheel of that car. I believe he's got back into that car, or as yes he has, because James Poulter was at the wheel of that car for a while beforehand. Then we have rounding up the top 10 is the 390, and that is ASR, and that is currently got Scott Jeffs at the wheel, but that has had both Alex. Who's at the wheel of that one?
Callum Cripps in that one.
Callum Cripps has been at the wheel of that one in the previous stints. He's now handed over to them. 11th at the moment is PrepTech UK. That's car number 368. At the wheel of that car at the moment, we have got Sam Moore at this point in time. In 12th place is Silver Lake Racing with number 398. And that is going to be Michael Harris. 13th for OAP Racing Gap. OAP Racing AP Racing 377. And that has got Ed Davis at the wheel. 14th for the other PrepTech car with Andy Mollison, former Fiesta champion. And 15th place for Orange Motorsport with Nick Halstead. As the safety car comes in and racing resumes once again on this third restart as a couple more cars follow in the safety car into pit lane as the C120 France gets back under green here at Silverstone. And looks like it's Mr. Blake has gone off for a break, and back in the commentary box, back in his back with the headset on, back and sitting down, hopefully in the warm and dry now for the remainder of our commentary, is Alex Goldschmidt. And I guess obvious question, Alex, how was it out there?
Cold.
Unsurprisingly,
is the four-letter word that can describe what is actually happening. I mean, I saw one of the drivers, well, one of the teams actually pulling in, and there was a lot of banging along the left front wheel arch. So obviously it sounded like it had a left front flat. I remember it was blue. It started with a 3 and ended with a 2. So there have been a lot of teams whilst I've been up and down the pit lane. I had a brief chat with 2013 GT Academy winner Miguel Faisca, who's running in the eSports and Stars cars with Brendan Lee. And he said, have you seen my onboard from qualifying? I went, no. But apparently that car has a IndyCar style, let's say, tilt to the steering wheel. So it's not tracking true; it's tracking more to the left.
Nice. It looks like, if you look from the cockpit, it looks like it's been set up for an oval, basically.
Well, unfortunately, we don't have one here at Silverstone. If we were at Rockingham, it would be completely the case that they would do a full lap of the oval circuit. But you know, it's really good to, you know, there is a true party atmosphere down in the paddock. You know, I'm hearing like loud, house music playing. There's people with, tea, coffees and biscuits. Had a really good chat with Sarah Moore, who's been running in a Brit car this weekend with Mo Ritson, with Tockwith Motorsport. Obviously, she's off to W Series next week at Hockenheim for their season opener. And yeah, she's really looking forward to the challenge. So good luck, Sarah. Good to see you. Obviously, Katie Milner really enjoyed that battle with Team Tivoli a bit earlier on, and she said that the car is coming to us. Obviously they've got Alice Hughes, Mighty Minis driver. Jem Hepworth is in absolutely fantastic spirits. She's looking forward to getting in. I think she's going to be getting in on the next stint. So Jem was all smiles, and yeah, I think it's just a really good atmosphere down in there in the pit lane.
Well, they've just had I think either come in for a pit stop or they've just left the pit lane. And Alice Hughes is still showing as a driver, so whether or not they're double stinting it, or either Jem is going to get in, or possibly even Natalie Brooks, or the other driver in that Team 480, which is Sammy Bowler, might get into that car possibly. So
I think it might be the case that Jem's going to be jumping in the hot seat right now, as we've got the 341 now in the pits. Obviously the Daytona Motorsport logo is on there. Obviously Charles Graham, one of those drivers for that particular team. So they're currently in the pits at the moment. So yeah, I just think that really with the atmosphere that we've got down, with the amount of interesting team names that we've been able to commentate on since we started over several hours ago, and now we're at 19 hours 35 minutes remaining here at Silverstone. The weather is certainly not dampening the party atmosphere in the paddock.
I wouldn't have expected to, knowing as we do how well UK Club Motorsport is supported and how much they enjoy being part of the paddock, part of a racing paddock, no matter what the situation, no matter what the weather. It's certainly good to see these guys enjoying themselves out as much as possible as the pit stop continues for 341, which I believe is Majestic Motorsport. Indeed it is. So that's the Warren Heath, Mike Hart, Charles Graham, Spencer Fortag pit stop. Look at that contrast there. That's just, apart from the headlights, you can practically see nothing in the darkness down at the wing complex.
Well, when I had a brief chat with Callum Cripps after speaking to him after he did that fantastic stint which put them as high as second on the road, he said, it is very tricky, but obviously that the teams have had so to speak an acclimatisation towards this, because obviously nighttime qualifying yesterday evening, so the drivers will have had that preparation, okay, albeit being very, very short, but it's still going to give them that idea, as now we are completely pitch black on the screen, with absolutely no cars coming round the final couple of corners here at Silverstone. But it's quite interesting, the dynamic from when it switches from daytime to night, and then of course obviously the early hours when we get to like what's effectively known as endurance racing as the golden hour, when everything starts coming back to the teams. And for those watching at home, thank you for tuning in. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the YouTube channel that is Alpha Live, and hit the notification button. The thing is that we've even had, I've been checking social media whilst I've been in the pits as well. We've had Darren Cox from Esports and Cars. Obviously there's a new channel by the name of Let's Go Racing, with Sam,
who've even been commenting on the live stream.
Thank you guys, because obviously that's with Sam Collins, and obviously Leo Gorman, who recently commentated on the opening round of the 2019 Super Formula Championship, which has Dan Ticktum and Lucas Auer as two of their most recent additions. Now you can see that they're starting to work. Just look at the front right that's just come off that car. That is scrubbed near enough to the cords there.
Oh yeah.
So if you put this through an MOT right now, it's an instant fail. But it just goes to show that I saw teams changing tyres as early as 2.5 hours into this race. This is how hard these guys are pushing. So yeah, I mean, a great close up there. You can just see how much scrubbing is happening on these tyres.
Yeah, there you go. You can, if you look carefully, just the white sort of, the lighter sort of grey line on the inside. I'm pretty sure that is down to the canvas.
That is probably quite close. I mean, that looks to me, from an automotive perspective, probably around about 3.5 to 3 mil worth of tread. Now, in terms of grip, in terms of the front tyres, most tyres nowadays from manufacturers will be provided with 7 to 8 millimetres of tread depth. When you get to 3 mil, that is when you're at 78% of wear on these tyres. So that is when these wet conditions, if someone feels that they can't brake properly, that's the clear sign to get into the pits and put in a new set of front boots.
But even so, as well, with those tyres, they still pass the MOT, wouldn't they?
Well, that depends on the eyes of the MOT technician.
Yes,
let's say, Scott.
Yeah,
but,
absolutely.
I think one of the key points is that when you are dealing with standard suspension, standard anti-roll bar travel, these tyres through the sidewalls are where that's the structural key, because these are not, road-going tyres nowadays. You either have two types. You either have standard tyres, you have run flats, or you have extra load, which have reinforced sidewalls. Now, in this case, these are bog standard production tyres, built for these cars, specifically for this championship, and everyone has to use them. So it doesn't matter if you've got your fastest gun behind the wheel, or the driver that's going to take it slow but take it consistently throughout the race. That's where the key point is. The strategy is managing everything to an absolute minimum. And as Callum Cripps said to me, he pitted after 33 laps on that tank of fuel. So the teams are running to around a lap per litre of fuel around here at Silverstone. So that's giving you a range of around about 120 to 130 miles.
So that effectively means working out, that's roughly about what, about 40, 45 odd miles laps effectively on one tank of fuel if you run it properly. So
yeah, so you could probably eke out maybe a maximum of 38 if you're at Nice comment there from Wicked Juice on YouTube. Keep going, soon you'll have slicks.
We car stopped, and that's the second time that's happened, because we had a car stop just against the wing the Formula 1 pit wall, which caused the safety car earlier on. I have a feeling if they can't get that car going again, we could be going to safety car number 5.
Well, I mean, when you think about it, I found out, I spoke to Atomic Racing, I spoke to Andrew Godfrey from the Mini Challenge from 468, who said that the conrod literally dropped out of the bottom sump of that engine. And luckily enough, as we were talking, we did 2 interviews. The first one didn't go quite according to plan, but literally as we started the second interview, some team has gone, yeah, we got a spare engine, have it. That just shut. Now the thing is in this kind of clubman motorsport, everyone will help everybody. If someone needs a fresh set of boots, case in point, a fresh engine, case in point, 468 are hopefully going to be back on the road in about an hour and a half's time. It's going to take a couple of hours, because when they're taking apart the front of the car, you've got to take out the headlights, you've got to take out the intercooler. If the cars have got an AC radiator, which, let's be quite frank, aren't being used in this, unless it's like, if it's like 25 degrees and roasting in the inside of those cockpits. There's a lot. These cars might be small, but they are very, very complex. I had a look at the front of the 364. There is so much that they need to pull apart in order to get to the engine.
Absolutely.
Safety cars being called, Scott, again.
Safety cars as we presumed it might be, because of course that car that's stopped on the inside just before the entry into Abbey Corner, that's safety car number 5. Isn't it crazy? You wait for a safety car to happen, and about 5 happen all at once.
It's like buses, isn't it?
Pretty much, yeah. Just a confirmation, just a correction as well. I've got a bit confused.
Team Celavi has now entered pit lane. Thank you very much, Dan Blake, for that spot. They've set the best lap of the race so far, a 3-minute 2.826. So we got to within effectively 8/10 of what was effectively or provisional pole position for Mac Attack Racing last night in qualifying. The amount of neon, I have to say, has been quite literally unbridled. Pink, magenta, neon pink, going around the final couple of corners through Luffield and heading into Copse. And it was quite nice actually seeing Kermit up close and personal. And I did say to Mark Worrell, I said, "Oh, you look very resplendent in your race suit." He said, "Thank you very much." And it's got HRX emblazoned all over it as well.
He's obviously just bought that, or had it for the only other time it's been used is probably in a race, was probably last year's C1 24 Hours at Rockingham. Just a quick shout out. Stephen Dean's asking a shout out for car 312. Which is Advanced Tech Endurance Racing. Last time I checked, they were right down the bottom of the field, weren't they, unfortunately?
312 at the moment.
They're a bit further down, I think.
95th.
There they are. Yeah, 95th out of 99, as we see some driver extrication going on here. 473 in for a pit stop. So 473 is, that's Car Sport.
31st at the moment, behind Emax Motorsport in the 345. And just, they'll have ELK Sabora Motorsport with Brooks behind the wheel in the 379, probably overtaking them very shortly. This is going to be a key point now. This is another great opportunity for drivers to, the thing is that when you think about the teams behind every single entry, there's going to be a lot of people that will be up for over 36 hours. The drivers are going to try and get as much hydration. Okay, yes, it's a 24-hour race, so they're going to have to do a lot of carb loading because obviously that's going to be a key energy source. Slow release carbohydrates like, say, pasta, porridge, that kind of stuff will be quite crucial. And when you have someone as very, very well accomplished as Marino Franchitti, he will know exactly what to do at the right time, so he'll get the hydration on board. Obviously, Howden Haynes, he needs no introduction. He's a race engineer that has won at Le Mans. Obviously, Lena Gade, one of his big proteges, and obviously she herself is the only female race engineer with Audi Sport to have ever won at Le Mans. And of course, the 3 that were with her were Marcel Fessler, André Lotterer, and of course Benoit Trullier. So you look at the plethora of people out. Now, we've had a couple of race control messages come through, thanks to Dan Blake. Looks like a 1 minute stop and go for the 449. A 396 has got a 3-minute stop and go, and a stop go for the 391 for overtaking under yellows. Now the 391, I'm just going to see where they are in the the running order of things. That is...
Well, 391, a CDMC, that's the Ian Witt, Abigail Witt.
86th position at the moment.
Yeah, Chris Pidcock, Adam Hayes and Charmaine Farrell.
And Witt's in the car at the minute.
Yeah. The 449, that's getting the 1 minute stop and go for UTAG or UTAG. Oh, the UTAGs, that's a problem for the UTAG for them, so they get 1 minute stop and go for... maybe because they didn't stop and do their tag properly,
they have to do that in order to affect the driver switch over for TSL timing.
And interestingly, that is actually the 11th place team. That is Orange Motorsport. That's Nicholas Housted, Graham Davidson, John Gladman and Steve Lynn, with Housted at the wheel at the moment.
Yeah, so and then obviously the 396 a stop and go penalty to the tune of 180 seconds there. So 19 hours 24 minutes and 27 seconds still remain on the clock as it I can't believe I'm saying this, Scott. We've just gone 10 local time here in the UK. But thank you very much for everyone continuing to watch the Distrigo Parts Distribution C1 Racing Series, which is the first of 3 24-hour races here this weekend at Silverstone for a milestone event to celebrate Citroen's centenary anniversary. As you can hear, probably along with our microphones, you can hear the wind definitely picking up quite dramatically, I think. So yeah, it's going to be quite interesting to see how long it takes for that car to be recovered. And I noticed, I mean, I did try and find out what was going on with Area Motorsport. Obviously, with Carl Swift behind the wheel of that, they're currently 96th, having had that brilliant battle with Eastgate Automotive Racing. So yeah, I mean, to be honest with you, we still have plenty of this race left to go. I'm not... If someone was to say to me, who are you going to predict to win, Alex, I'll say, well, to finish first you have to finish.
Absolutely, yeah. 420's in, so that's the Cop Womble team in their sort of Martini livery inspired. Well, they've got the classic Martini stripe. That seems to be one of the go-to sort of forms of livery in terms of if you're stuck for an idea, just stick a Martini stripe down the middle or somewhere on the car, and it seems to fit nicely in anything.
It's a bit like Team Lane Roofing in Fun Cup. They have been known for doing that for a number of years, and I think when I commentated on them in 2016 at this very circuit for the bank holiday weekend, where that was a race of attrition there. Get my surname right on the feed. It needs a D there. God.
They did that earlier. Obviously, but you were in the pit lane, so they didn't get it.
Well, I mean, obviously, I can't see screens down in the pit lane, for goodness sake. But, yeah, 420 being pushed out and ready to get underway, which they do. Another barrage, blue to represent the blue on the Martini stripes there. This is not going down well, director.
I think that's a signal for try again. I think that's
third time's the charm, maybe, but who knows? But yeah, I just think that really, with regards to this is this is a race of unpredictability. Every 24-hour race is like that. But yeah, I just think, well, Circuit Pro in the 385 in the pits, Kraken Motorsport.
Yes, I was waiting for that. I was waiting for that for the third one. I was thinking, are they going to do it? And he went, yes, it did. So, Alex Goldfinger. He is the man with the Midas touch. Anyway.
Well, that remains to be seen, Scott Woodwis.
Oh, God. Anyway. Back to racing matters.
Yes.
Just quick shout out, of course, as someone pointed out very aptly in the comments, and very good, well done to Edward White. He made a very good comment. Of course, given the conditions and the efforts they've put in so far, without a doubt, we have to say a massive, massive thank you to all of the marshals and all of the officials here, not only in the pit lane, but also bravely stationed around the circuit in pitch black, in the cold, in the wind, and in the rain. Because remember, these marshals, they do it voluntarily. They don't get paid. They do it simply because they want to be a part of the sport they love and they want to be part of it. They get my name right. See, difference is they get my name right first, because it's so unique. So
I was going to say, does our director have dyslexia? No comment. But no, I mean, I happen to know. There we go. Finally,
got it. There we go.
Yeah. I mean, the thing is I happen to know a very good friend by the name of Katrina, who is currently at Donington Park for the BTCC. She says that to have the opportunity, as looks like the car is now being pulled off circuit. So hopefully, very shortly, within the next couple of minutes or so, we will go back to green flag action here at Silverstone. And she says that the thing is I love motorsport. I think the first time I met her was at DTM Brands 2012, the penultimate year before they stopped using the Indy circuit, which actually was a very good call. Thank you, Gerhard Berger, for that one for 2018, doing it on the GP loop. But she said it just gives me this opportunity. She's been to DTM, WEC, Formula One, MotoGP, and they truly love racing just as much as we do here in the commentary box. And without them, you know, I'm forever grateful for the amount of effort and the amount of countless hours that they spend training. I mean, Max Coates, who's currently running in the UK Clio Cup, you know, he's even done marshalling training. A very good friend of ours, Jake Sanson, has done marshalling training at the recent, the previous round of the British Karting Championships, which is hosting TKM and Honda this weekend.
Yeah, and he did that Wilton Mill, I think it was.
Yeah, he did Wilton Mill. But he was at turn 3 at PF.
That's the other one.
PF International, which is not too far from here. And of course, we have to wish Jake Sanson a very happy 33rd birthday as well.
Yes.
So Scott and myself will be raising a glass in his honour a bit later on.
Absolutely. Yes.
So he had. I did actually phone him when he was on his way to PF this morning and wished him a very operatic happy birthday on the phone.
I wouldn't expect anything less from him.
Exactly. But Team Celevi continue to lead. Circuit Pro still in the pits. Citroen Racing look to now be exiting the pits. Look at the amount of bright white LEDs. I think that's probably a good sign for the drivers that they're able to.
And that's a crucial stop because, of course, they are currently situated in 5th position. 374 in the pit lane, what feels like forever. Because I'm sure I've seen that car in there for absolutely ages. They've gone for the Starsky and Hutch inspired look on the side of that car.
The Gran Torino, the good old tomato livery there.
Yeah, so that car will be heading its way back out. Car 374, just as a reminder, very, very quickly. I think we might be going possibly one more time around because the safety car heading past our pit right now.
The lights are still flashing on the safety car at the moment.
Yeah, we just saw, was it 374 has gone out there? That was Midway Motorsport. That was the Ashley Woodman, Keith Helmsworth, Lawrence Fagg and Clint Bardwell machine. So that car heading back out there after its scheduled stop. But the field makes its way past the pits. What's quite funny is that I think these cars, they hug the pit wall so much that when we try to look at them down here, they seem to come beside the pit wall so close that half of the cars, when they come past our commentary box, our view here, because the view we have is effectively looking just literally directly across onto the start and finish straight and across onto the sort of start and finish straight pit box. What's interesting here, look, is that cars that have actually gone to the pit lane, because they're having to wait for the entire queue to go past before they can go back out, because effectively the pit lane exit is closed until every single car in that train. When you've got a race with 99 cars in it, that's going to feel, and literally it is an eternity sat there, because you're going to wait for there's the 3 cars in the pit lane right there. You're going to wait for 96 other cars effectively to go past you before you're allowed to go back out and join the back of the crocodile.
You know what's quite funny though, because hopefully no one is having the true red mist until they get out on track at the end of the pit lane first, because there's 3 cars. Obviously the AASP car was at the back of that 3-car train. So obviously it's quite good that with regards to the way that they have to make sure that these that they have to get their transponders. If they're not using the U tags properly, yes, they get an infringement and they get put in, for a 60-second stop and go. So to be completely honest, they'll go, well, right, I've got to wait here. Okay, it might put me a lap down, but at least I know that I've got that opportunity, the opportunity to claw that lap back, or 2 laps back, depending on who's in front.
Just a few more messages coming through. Mark Forsyth saying, great commentary, guys. Thank you very much, Mark. Not on bank this weekend there, but you always keep Marshall's amused with chat. Well, we try to, anyway, in terms of... effectively, we try to as much as we can, but as we say, I think we're both of permanent agreement for the rest of our lives that British marshals genuinely are the best in the world. Absolutely fact. The reason is because they get sort of refresher training every single year, which is important, but the standard and the quality of the training that the marshals get before the start of every season is second to none. I think it's arguably fair to say that the UK has the highest standard of marshal training, I think, anywhere in world motorsport. There are some other countries that do a good job. I think America's one of them, of course, because obviously a lot of racing goes on in America, of course, in short oval tracks, obviously, and street courses,
IndyCar,
road courses.
Indy Lights. There's so many
NASCAR as well, because
dirt track racing as well, oval dirt track, where they're going completely sideways whilst flat out.
Yeah, absolutely. And the thing is that, again, it's to be a marshal, it's one of those it's almost a thankless task, which it really shouldn't be, because obviously marshals do a heck of a lot, and some people don't actually understand just how difficult it is, how important it is to have marshals in the road, because this is a genuine fact. If there were no marshals here this weekend, this whole race weekend couldn't happen.
Definitely.
At all.
I mean, when you think about the standard of the British Marshals, I've known people, I know several marshals who enjoy doing this week in, weekend. Thank you very much to our director. Thank you very much to marshals.
Yes.
One of my friends has been over to the Canadian Grand Prix. British marshals have also been to the Abu Dhabi Formula 1 finale. That just shows how high an esteem is placed in terms of respect on the British marshals. And without them, I'm... as a commentator, seeing it from both sides of the fence, we're very privileged to what you, me, Dan, and obviously Anthony Jordan, who will be joining us tomorrow. We're very grateful for what these marshals do, because without them, we could not go racing weekend in, weekend out. And people might say, well, why do we need them? Well, of course, you're going to have pretty quick cleanups. I mean, take for instance Paddock Hill Bend at Brands Hatch. As soon as someone goes in the kitty litter and hits the barrier hard, they've got to act very, very quickly, and they rapidly respond. It's like a rapid response unit for an ambulance crew.
Yeah, absolutely, and they're straight on it, and the efficiency of, and again, as Cook Racing very rightly points out, and I think in some cases, rather wrongly, marshals are unpaid, which gets, because it is a voluntary position. I mean, for them, it is very much a case of they do it that every single marshal out there is a volunteer. So basically, so they are legitimately choosing to be out there on post.
Safety car is in. Green flag waves at the start-finish straight. We go back onto green flag conditions here, Scott.
Absolutely.
And we've also had 2 3-lap penalties issued, 337 and 450 for assistance as well.
Now, could that possibly lead us to ask the question, who was it that caused the safety car? Because 337, for the record, is...
and we get... Yeah, thank you very much. Yeah, we got the meow in our ear.
Yeah, if you're hearing that, you're hearing some Austin GP style sort of additional sound effects, shall we say.
Well, the funny thing was, on the Alpha Live Instagram page before this weekend, someone did that, and then someone gave them a look as if to say, what the heck are you doing? So 389 has just been pinged for transponder location as well. So car 389, check transponder location.
The 2 cars which have been given the 3-lap penalty for assistance are 337, which is Burton Power Racing. That's the Andy Burton, Tommy Valentine, Alex Demore and Darren Langveld machine.
Who also have Nick Griggs, who races quite regularly in the RHPK Championship, which has its 3rd round next weekend, which I will be commentating on.
The other car which had the problem is one that's very familiar to Mr. Blake, which is Amigo Motorsport, which is Rob Gaffney, Mark Thompson and Reece Lloyd. That's the other car to have that penalty. So, gentlemen, I would put it to you that the cause of the safety car was either one of those 2 machines, because obviously they've received a penalty on that one. There's been some driver changes, actually, thank you for that. Because Amigo Motorsport with 450, to correct ourselves, never trust the program. That's for somebody who comes from... in some cases, someone who puts programs together for a racing club.
True.
And that is, of course, there's been some driver changes, because these programs have to go to print Monday or Tuesday, so obviously there's going to be different changes, late driver changes, etc., additional entries. So the drivers are 450, and now, to scratch that, it's not Rob Gaffney, it's not Mark Thompson, it's not Reece Lloyd. It's actually, in fact, Edward these are all the... This
Wolstead,
is the,
yeah, from one of the Danes, yeah.
This is the almost the all-Danish car.
Apart from Nicky Team, who's been viewing from the sidelines, so to speak.
Yes. Alexander Sherpen, who is the same driver who's been competing in British GT and GT4 last couple of seasons. Daniel Storkerson and John Curran as well. That car having the 3-lap penalty as well. As you said, car 389, he needs to check its transponder location. Keith Waslin asks, just clicked on how is Milner doing, obviously meaning that's the 480 of the...
Currently 13th with Jem Hepworth behind the wheel.
Yep, Team
so she is 18 seconds behind the 325 of ITC1 with Norris behind the wheel at the moment.
Interesting from Cook Racing UK, it says, by the way, in production BMW Championship, you get 50 points, same as one race win a year. One race win a year if you do a day's marshalling. I know another championship does that, and that is the Caterham Academy. Does exactly the same thing. You get bonus points towards your championship if you do a day's marshalling. And also as well, what's important is if you're trying to get signatures, a day's marshalling counts as a signature towards your racing license as well.
That's pretty interesting information.
So
they do say you learn something new every day, Scott. And I definitely have learned something.
Yep. And that's the thing. They do say as a suggestion, if you can't get yourself into a race, a good alternative is is to go and do a day's marshalling. If you do that, you can get yourself a signature on your license, and you can then. It's quite crucial because to use this as a pure example, just to use it as a pure example. Caterham Academy, they have to go through the whole season of racing. They have to get themselves six signatures in order to upgrade their license from a National B to a National A. So obviously they have to do 5 races. I think it's actually 6 races this year. So then when they move into the next step up, which is road sport or anyone else going up, so they can use a European round of the next weekend. They can then go ahead and start racing abroad or racing in Europe on a National A license, because you can't do it on a National B because you're a rookie. So you have to do it on a National A upwards in order to make that happen. So.
Well, quite interesting. We've had some further penalties issued, Scott. The 377 and the 386, a 3-minute stop-and-go penalty. Each. And the 349 has just been given a 1-minute stop-and-go. And I've just seen that one of our commentary... Well, actually, funny enough, talking of commentators, we have both Mark Werrell in the 447 in 44th with GMP Developments with QSP Quitco, and in Flying Haggis, it's one of the voices of Knockhill, Mr. David Christie.
He's been in that car for a while, actually. So
I think he's definitely. Is he trying to gain some brownie points so he can get a nicer sleep during the night-time hours?
But the thing is, I think this is only his second ever race, because his first race was in a C1, but it was in the first round of the brand new Scottish C1 Championship. Which obviously has taken off and had to. I think there's about 17 cars for their first race, which is pretty good for a first round. So for a Scottish Championship, because the Scottish Championship don't really go anywhere else apart from Knockhill, really, because all due respect, there's no other circuits in Scotland.
Yes.
So which is a shame, because I think there should be at least one more Scottish circuit. Shouldn't there?
Yeah. I mean the funny thing is that apart from Knockhill, the most prominent circuit that I know of is actually not a fully fledged race circuit. It is a karting circuit, and that of course is Scotland's very own Larkhall karting circuit as well. So yeah, I mean it's. Well, there we go. That's very interesting. Marcus Adams, that's very insightful there. Sorry, some of our C1 racers are marshalling to ensure we get all the signatures we need to qualify for National A and also race at the 24 Hours at Spa in October. That's brilliant.
See, told you could get signatures by marshalling.
Yeah. When is the Spa race? Well, that's a very good question from... who's that? Bram Reiners on YouTube there. You can go to c1racing.club. That is the official website for this. So I'm just going to bring that up on the wonder of my laptop, which has been... We've got 2 timing screens. We've got one up to our immediate left, and then this one on the desk. So it's quite good to see, and the neon is ablaze, Scott. The neon is definitely full prominence.
It has been for some hours, Alex.
I know. That's the thing. I've seen it up close and personal in the pit lane, and sometimes you know when you look at something and you go like, oh, my eyes, I can't see. It's kind of bright. October the 25th to the 27th is the Spa 24 Hours, Bram. So, John Munro, come on, put us out of our misery. Knockhill Reverse. Oh yeah,
no, that's the same venue.
That's
John.
not the. John Munro, shame on you.
That's the old Gran Turismo trick of basically sort of classing that it's extra circuits because it's in the reverse layout.
Sorry, John.
Although to be fair, Knockhill, from what I've driven of it in a sim, I think Project Cars.
Oh no, sorry, Wicked Juice has come up with an even better one. Tesco car park in Aberdeen.
That's only for a certain amounts of quote racers, shall we say?
Or racers.
That's it. Yeah. Thanks to David White, by the way. Says, enjoy the race, guys. I'm off to bed. Was on post all day today, but couldn't do the full 24s working tomorrow. Thanks for your efforts, Ed. But really appreciate you being out there on the circuit today. Not just for the 24 hours, but of course for the support rate for the races earlier on today, including the latest rounds of Brick Car Endurance, which continues to grow in stature.
Well, especially when you've got the likes of Sarah Moore, Ross Wiley, who's also competing in that championship in a Ferrari, if I'm very much mistaken. He raced with Slide Sports. Mark Jenkins, who's the head of that crew, raced in the Porsche Carrera Cup GB a couple of seasons ago.
Oh, 3 abreast into Abbey Corner there.
Oh, in the dark as well. Mamma mia.
Now then, just a quick note, good one from Denny Car Media. Carl Swift, if you scroll down to where the Area Motorsport boys are, just set their personal best. 3 minutes in the dark, 3 minutes 3.489.
Right, okay.
That is pace, which effectively confirms that they should. Obviously, it's not exactly how it works.
That is 6/10.
They shouldn't be down in 95th
Right,
place.
okay. That is 6/10 of a second off the current leaders, Selavi, who did a 3:02.826. So with Carl Swift behind the wheel, expect that car to go a little bit further up the order. Obviously, they had that fantastic battle for the first hour and a quarter with Eastgate Automotive. I didn't manage to get to the crux of the matter because obviously the car was circulating by the time I'd tried to go up and down the pit lane. But yeah, it was really good to speak to a few people. Obviously,
I think we've been told in the comments about not kill reverse, because apparently, because it is any circuit able to run both clockwise and anti-clockwise, I guess for them it technically counts as a separate circuit.
It's a technicality.
Yeah, but we don't want to upset the comments, so alright, I'll let them.
No.
We'll
John Monroe, I'm not letting this go, mate. Sorry.
but now he's put in the comments. Also, don't forget Tesco car park Aberdeen reverse
flows better.
So.
That's definitely a head in the hands moment. Thank you, Mr. Monroe. About 19 hours, 3 minutes and 43 seconds still to go. I think we're going to be wrapping up in just over half an hour's time here on the live stream. 4:21, how are they doing at the moment? Let's have a look, shall we? 4:21. Majestic Motorsport currently circulating in penultimate, 98th position. Atomic Racing. We're still shoehorning that new engine. Obviously, the 468 Manpower Motorsport, who had Andrew Godfrey, who I spoke to a little bit earlier.
You did.
You know, they're hoping to be out in about just over an hour's time, but they want to get to the end of the. That's a really good comment from 365 hosts. Wow, Swift, you are world class. Well, now I'm just going to keep an eye on. Right, his last lap was a 3 minute 6.7 and looks to be the quickest driver out there.
Yeah, pretty much.
Very much the case.
Because everyone else is doing at least what...
the closest is Little in the Emax Motorsport 345 that's just done a 3 minute 7.7.
3 minutes 7.9 from Mukatak Racing. Actually, that's a story. Actually, Mukatak Racing, of course, with Joe Wiggin at the wheel. Of course, he's a former Compact Cup racer, and of course, they're now starring in the. Another driver starring in the Mazda MX-5 Championship.
Well,
had a superb debut. He actually scored 4th in his first race, and then backed that with 2 third places on his debut in MX-5s.
Well, actually, the only driver quicker at the moment than Carl Swift is Richard Grindrod for Viking, who are currently second. Richard's just done a 3 minute 5.371. So those are the 2 quickest cars out on track. So Area Motorsport and Viking, the only ones going sub 3 minutes 7, and in the case of Viking, it's a sub 3 minutes 6. So that's pretty impressive pace by the pair of them. Just keeping an eye. Looks like 464 Racing have got up past Elk Sabora Motorsport with Brooks behind the wheel in the 379. That's the 34th position. The 400 crew now down into 27th. SRR Motorsport with Lee behind the wheel is down into 49th position. Behind the 351 of GMP Developments and the 445 of Emax Motorsport. In the pits currently, Riverside Performance in 55th in the 396. Exit 13 with Hale behind the wheel now up past Brookspeed. up to 57th position as well.
And that's about it, really.
Yeah, I mean, to be completely honest with you,
changes.
Yeah, it's you know, we're now approaching the completion of, well, effectively. Oh, Scott, that's nearly that was nearly a pretty good. No wrong. Swift pitted for the 3:06. Really? Yeah. Well, I mean, the funny thing is that with regards to it, you know, there are, you know, we could very much see how many people. Well, yeah, Swift is in the pits. It looks like. Yeah. So 95th position at the moment. Current leaders at the moment still Team Tel Aviv with Chadwick behind the wheel. They've done a 3:09.5 last lap, and then also Grindrod in the Viking 419 car, 3 minutes 6.2. So that is 3.3 seconds quicker per lap. They've got the gap differential down to 1 minute 54, considering the fact that